Hey there, welcome back. This is Needed Conversation. Viktoriya Cole here. And if you're watching on YouTube, you may notice that I'm alone today. My husband is not here today. I'm giving him a little break, but I am having a guest, and I'm going to interview an incredible young woman who is doing some great things. And I just wanted to kind of give you guys a different perspective in regards to a lifestyle that may be very different from what you're living or what you're experiencing, and how somebody made a step of faith to believe the purpose that God has put on them and to find that family rhythm that they truly needed to find. So I wanted to invite one of my friends that I recently met, and I call her friend because we have a love for a couple of things. Of course, we're both moms, we're both a wife, but she is a homesteader and she loves to garden, and that's kind of what really enticed me to interview her, because she just has so much wisdom and so much passion for what she's doing. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on. Welcome, Tamika. Thank you so much for coming on Needed Conversations, as we're continuing to discuss family rhythms and how to create those family rhythms together and allow your children to partake in that as well. Thank you so much for joining this program or this episode. I love what you're doing. You're such an inspiration. And so I want you to kind of introduce yourself to us and let us know a couple of things about you. That way our audience gets to know who you are and what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you, Viktoriya. Thank you for having me. You said you follow me. I recently reconnected with you guys on social media with podcasts and listened to several of the podcasts. And I'm like, oh my word, you're a young couple, like 8 years in, happy anniversary.
Thank
And you're speaking truth, uncomfortable truth, hard truth, but much needed truth, and you speak it with love and graciousness. So I really appreciate you guys and what you and your husband are doing.
Thank you so much. Just kind of let us know like what you're doing right now, and the lifestyle that you chose and why you chose that lifestyle for your family.
Yeah. Whew. Well, so married, we'll be married 8 years, coming up in a few months. We have 2 boys, 2 and 5, and our household family also includes our 89-year-old aunt. So we have a lot going on, 3 generations under one roof.
Wow.
We homeschool and we homestead. We're in the beginning stages of homesteading. So, and yeah, I'm always like, yeah, I just sit around doing nothing, tongue in cheek. But I think for me, the why, we just felt different. We felt like we never really fit in with culture. I felt like I never really fit in with the different mom groups. We just felt like we were different. And now you see people homeschooling, homesteading, living a more natural, a more simple, a more connected life. But for me and David just felt like we wanted to do things different. We wanted to live a life that was pleasing to the Lord and honoring to the Lord. And that's where we wanted to start. And so every decision after that was based on, like, how can we build a better relationship with the Lord and each other? And that is really just how everything else has followed after that decision. It's nothing deep or profound.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, for a person that may not know, what is a homesteader? What does that entail?
Oh, goodness gracious. Basically, it's, I don't know. I didn't know the word homesteading existed. I just knew, me and David, when we were dating, we'd love to just take drives to the countryside. And we just, on Sunday afternoons, we would just go looking at fields with cows in it. And I didn't even know that this lifestyle was a thing. I just knew I liked the country. And so as we just, one thing led to the other, and so here we are growing our food. We hope to be kind of sustainable and not having to run to the grocery store all the time, but to grow our food. And we'll include animals, and we have animals, but not for meat. We'll include that. We have ducks for eggs and chickens for eggs. So homesteading is literally, it's taking care of your own needs, honestly, like not looking for any other person to take care of your needs, but growing your own food, providing your own needs and things like that at home. That's not the best.
No, that's so awesome. No, that is awesome. I think when people think of it, they think, oh, they like farming, farming for, making like huge plots of land and all that. So I think when people think of that, they might get freaked out. They're like, oh, no, that's not for me. But I actually have been really inclined these past, I would say 2 years to, like you said, we have such a big dependency on these huge stores. And so I think the pandemic was just a clear view and really showed me even how much more we depend on that and how it changes people's attitudes. Like, it's so sad that we are able to, like, God gives us a seed and He puts in that seed to multiply. And we're so greedy that it was like we don't care about our neighbor. We just want to get our needs met and then everybody else can take care of themselves. And so this pandemic really showed me, like, wow, like, we need to start learning to go to the basics to really start building those relationships and also to even take care of our own stuff. We have, it's convenient, but at the same time, it's not convenient when now you have this dependency on people and nothing comes through. And it's like, how are we going to survive? And it's like, I don't even have this life skill at all. And, I come from a different country, so I have a little bit of that background. I've seen my parents do it, but it's not something that I kind of grew up with. So yeah, my desire is the same way, is to try to produce some food for my family. And I think your kids learn so much through this process. And I love what you said. You said just staying connected, and people are like, well, what are you talking about? Like, we stay connected on social media and all that. And it's just, people just don't even understand like the true connection that you have, building a home and raising your children, and actually, instead of being in this fast paced rut and trying to attain the success that somebody sets and somebody moves that marker farther and farther, you actually enjoy life. Like, you actually see the sky, you see the plants, you see the beauty in it. And yeah, I love that. I love that you guys are doing that for you and your family. Even though, some people may think that's strange, or that's not the modern way. But I think a lot of people are actually realizing that this is the way. Because people struggle with mental health and physical health. I know you've said a lot of things about, your family also struggling with certain things. And that was just another way for you to try to learn about your health and discover these new things in order to help your family. Can you kind of elaborate on that, how that also kind of played into your decision to step into that kind of a lifestyle as well?
Happy Homemaker Chronicles kind of started because I wasn't happy. I lost my identity. I was at home. I was 6 months pregnant at the time. So I felt very isolated. At the time, I didn't have a lot of I didn't have a lot of people who were into this lifestyle, whether it just being a stay-at-home mom or being into the homesteading or homeschooling. I didn't have any of those people. And so I was very, very isolated, didn't have identity because, like, I'm not working. So what am I? I'm not even a mom because my child is on the outside yet. So what am I doing with my life? And I didn't really feel like I was a contributing member of society. And I didn't feel like I didn't attribute the correct value for what I was doing. And so I really, really spiraled into this really dark place where I lived with just fear and anxiety and, oh no, what are we going to do? And am I doing this right? Like, my child's not even out yet. And I'm like, oh no, like, I'm going to ruin my child. I just remember just my mind and my peace and my joy were not there. And it came to a point where the Lord just got a hold of my heart and called me higher. And so Happy Homemaker Chronicles started with me just saying, I'm going to choose to find one moment a day that brings me joy, and I'm going to post it. And so that's how it started. And then from there, it kind of grew into, I would meet other moms and they would feel the same way. And I'm like, wait, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. Like, you feel the same way. And so I figured one of the enemy's biggest lies and ways to keep us defeated is to keep us isolated and to keep us thinking it's just you. No, it's just you. And so when I found my own voice, I'm like, well, I'm going to help other moms find their own voice and get out of their own heads. And so it kind of started to tell people you're not alone. Find joy in the journey, just encouraging other moms to find their voice, and then really just sharing practical tips. Now it's homemaking, homesteading, and homeschooling. But before, it was really just how to be a mom and how to find joy. And so as we went down this journey, then I'm like, oh, well, what does a good mom look like? Because there's no book, right, Viktoriya? Like nobody, no, like people write books, but there's not really a book for how to be a mom to your kids.
Yeah.
And how to be a wife to your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, well, I don't really like the cleaning products I'm using. So it started with, okay, finding safe cleaning products. And then I'm like, well, what am I feeding? You know, I'm buying all this organic stuff for the baby. Like, well, what about me? Like, what are we doing? And so then it started like, well, what are we eating? And then from there, it's like, well, we really do like the country. So what are we doing? Like, why do we live in a place that's not the country if this is what we want? And the Lord opened that door. We were literally squatting in my husband's mom's place. And like I said, I just quit my job. We didn't actually have a plan. I quit my job. We had no plan. David owns his own tile remodel business, but I had no idea how much he made or anything. And I'm like, oh, I want to live in the country on a farm. Well, my bank account didn't match my dream. And so, and it still doesn't. And yet here we are living our dream. And I just want to encourage anyone that's listening that when the Lord puts something in your heart, he is going to be faithful to fulfill it and to follow your passions and to sit down as a family. And you said it, Viktoriya, in you all's podcast, to look at your why, like why, what do we want for our family? And then trust the Lord, follow that, and then trust the Lord to fill in the pieces.
That's so good. That's so good. You know, you said that you just could not find the community where you can fit in. And I love the fact that the Lord put this in your heart and you started with one simple thing and started this community yourself. You know, oftentimes we wait for somebody else to start this. We wait for somebody else to bring us joy and happiness and fulfillment and, fill those places of our heart where we're struggling in, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to try to encourage somebody else. And through that encouragement, we find fulfillment and satisfaction ourselves, because like you said, the enemy wants to keep us in a place of loneliness and feeling like we're crazy. And then we find out that we're not by ourselves, that other moms are in the same place. They're struggling with identity. I'm right here with you too. I was so tense with my first one. It was just like, I'm like, how am I going to do this? And then Mila was 10 months old when I got pregnant with my second one. And I was like, and Mila is like a natural born leader. We don't use the S word. And so it's just, I was like, Lord, what are you doing? And you get lost and you feel like you don't have your identity. You don't know how you're contributing, even though you're working your buns off, with raising a child. It just, I guess because you've been doing so much for years, like working like in corporate worlds, and what, I guess you have some kind of markers to achieve. So when you become a parent or a stay-at-home mom, and now this is your most important job, it's like 24/7, you don't get a break. And it's like, am I really like making an impact? And the answer is you do. And so you created this community for people that may not have, I guess, connect like you could not connect with other people. Like you just felt different. And so how would you say, how important is being part of a community that supports you and motivates you and pushes you forward, and where you guys have kind of this genuine exchange where it's not like, give me, but it's like this exchange that you have. Like I give you advice, you give me advice, you give me help, I give you help.
It's very important. I think that's one of the biggest things I hear from moms is that I made this decision for my family, whether it is to stay home, to quit their job and to stay home, whether it is to homeschool, maybe they're pulling their kids out of school, or whether it is to leave their big, gorgeous house in the suburbs and move out to the sticks and and raise chickens and grow some tomatoes. I hear so often, my family doesn't support me, or my friends don't understand. And that is so damaging. Because I think, gardening gives you so many lessons. That's so damaging. When you have this dream in your heart, it is like that little bitty seed when it first comes up, and you have to protect that seed at all costs. And so if you don't have people in real life who support you and who protect that dream and who sharpen you to make you a better person, then I love the fact that social media is there to find these people online. And then as you connect with people online, you can also pray. I mean, that's what I did. Like, when we first started this, I didn't have in real life any friends, because we moved completely away to rent this little house on 8 acres. And I didn't know anybody. And I prayed, Lord, please send me friends. And I feel like through the years, he's just grown that. And I don't mean like, your best friend, although he sent that too, but just a community of people where it's that give and that take. We were at a friend's house today, a couple of other moms, and we were doing a little class on teas and the benefit of teas. And it's so funny how, like, after that, I'm like pumped. I'm like, yes, now what can I do? And I don't have to go to the grocery store for this, because I can grow ginger in my windowsill. And I mean, just, that seems like a silly, non-significant thing. But you mentioned, like, with the health challenges that my oldest son is facing, and we're believing the Lord for his healing. Little things like that it's a really big deal, because I can't use over-the-counter products for him because they like totally throw him out of whack. But I can grow ginger in my windowsill, and I can diffuse it and give it to him. And something really simple like that, actually, for our family, is very impactful. So yes, finding your people. I say it a lot in my post, find your people, because it's so important, and it's biblical. That's the way God lived. That's the way Jesus lived on earth.
That's so true. And I've been seeing your posts about it too. So it's incredibly inspiring, because I have a hard time with that too. Like, just feeling like I'm independent, and feeling like I can do a lot of these things myself. But then, once you get going and you think to yourself, why are you doing all this, where you can connect with other people. And when you do, it's when you feel like you said that fire within you. It's like, wow, I'm not crazy. And somebody else is going through the same thing I am. So would you say that, moving by faith and going to live on the farm and doing this with your family, do you feel like that helped you establish some kind of a rhythm with your family?
I love the fact that you use the word rhythm instead of routine, because I'm not the person who is like, at 8 o'clock, we're doing this, and 9 o'clock, we're doing this, at 10 o'clock. I have tried that. I've tried to be that mom because I thought that's what I needed to be. And so that works for a little bit until it doesn't, because life happens, and life doesn't really care about my cute little color-coded little sheet that tells us what we're doing that day. And so for me, I have found that when it comes to rhythms, I have my to-do list. I have my goals for that day, that week, or that month. But my ultimate goal is, did I win the heart of my kids today? Did I make my kids smile? Does my husband want to live on the corner of a roof, or is his heart safe with me?
Yeah.
For our aunt, is she happy here at home? Is she thriving? And what I've found, and again, this isn't me like being like, hey, I have all of the answers. But what I found is that if I can start my day doing special time with my kids, whether it's outside, whether it's inside, whether we're doing a chore together, if I can start the day, and actually we'll read whatever the day of the week is, we'll read that proverb that matches in the chapter, and they pick out their little verse. And that's the verse we focus on all day. When I start my day like that, I have found that, one, I'm able to prioritize and do the things that are actually important versus just a huge list of things. Mm-hmm. And then two, at the end of the day, I kept my family with me. And one of the things about homesteading is that it's a family thing. It's not a please go play over here while I go do this thing over here. Although sometimes that's needed.
Yeah.
But it really is seeing how you can include your family in a really holistic way to accomplish the different tasks around your home. And
Yeah.
again, if you're not homesteading, I mean, like and you're a stay-at-home mom, well, folding laundry, that's kind of something simple we've all heard, like let your kids fold laundry. But it can get really annoying when you're really trying to actually fold the laundry and your 2-year-old is like taking it and throwing it everywhere and you want to get it done. And I've had to remind myself, do I care more about this laundry than I do about the heart of my child? And so many times we hear of families who were raised in Christian homes and they did all the right things. Their parents homeschooled them. Like they did all these things. They were in church, they family devotions, and then they grew up and wanted nothing to do with the Lord.
Yeah.
And for me, I had to stop and say, well, congratulations, Tamika. You have a really beautiful garden. And it is a beautiful garden because I work really hard.
It is beautiful, yes.
But congratulations, your kids hate you. And congratulations, your husband is really frustrated at how you spoke to him today. And congratulations, your aunt isn't thriving. So good job on your garden. And as I've learned to say, God, like, I need to invite you in this space. Like my to-do list doesn't really matter, but I need to invite you in the space. It's not just in the evenings we read a devotion and at meal times we say prayers. Like we need to be looking for God throughout our day. And so as we're going through our day, like we still have to make it to appointments on time. We still have to get to the library. We still have all these things that we need to do. I still have to wash dishes. I still have to make beds and things like that. But how do I make space to build relationships within our family and then ultimately pointing them to the Lord? So I am not your person to interview for routines, but rhythms, I got that down because we do get a lot of stuff done, but we get it done as a team. And when we don't, we feel it. And we have to stop and readjust.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we have been talking about too as teams, is that we have been separating, so much our family. Like even when we go to church, nothing, I don't want to speak bad about churches, but like even with children's church and young adults church and youth church and big church, and it's so important to integrate with different generations. Like we need the older generation and their wisdom. We need the younger people because they have the stamina and the energy for all that. And so that's one thing that we have been teaching. And I'm the same way. I have been convicted because I tend to be a go, like my list and my check marks. And so when I became a parent, it kind of hit me pretty hard because I was frustrated that I wasn't able to accomplish as much as I could. With my firstborn, I can tell that I was dragging her with my list. Like I had to finish this today and, regardless. And it didn't matter if, I was too loud with her or, and she's still so young that I expected a little too much out of her. And so I think with my second one, God really started addressing that and saying, you need to like just rest in God. And yes, planning is good. Yes, lists are good. That doesn't mean that they all need to be accomplished. Like you said, it's more important to make sure that our children, they know that we love them, that we validate their emotions throughout their day. We see, what they experience and what they feel. Some days are better than others. Some days you don't get nothing done because your child needs to be held or they're not feeling well. Just like you on any day would feel bad, you call off from work or, try to rest or whatever. Your child experiences the same thing. And that kind of really taught me to try to teach to integrate my kids into that. And as they grow, give them tasks that they feel like they contribute to. And in return, they're also learning a life skill. So I'm very big advocate on that too. And I have seen such a big difference in our family unit where they know what we're doing, and it's not like, oh, they're doing it here, we're doing it here. This is your bedtime. We're not going to have a conversation about this because you don't understand. But I think even in younger years that my kids are, they still understand a lot of this stuff. So yeah, teams are a go-to. But we're wrapping up. I'm already losing my voice, y'all, because this has been such a good conversation, and I'm over here chit-chatting with Tamika. And we're talking about establishing culture within your family and how it starts in your family. And so, such a profound example, Tamika, what you're doing. A lot of people may see this and think to themselves, like, that doesn't seem like something success looks like. But I think what we're really doing is something significant because we are raising a next doctor, a next lawyer. We're pouring into people because that's what God has called us to do in ministry, and ministry is people. It's not a building, it's not a place. So it's so awesome that you're able to share with us kind of a little bit of your family's culture and how you guys started this and how that's contributing to your overall health, mental health as well. Do you feel like that also helps you kind of stay grounded and giving you some outlets as a mom, in this kind of a lifestyle?
I think so too. I feel like I'm able to use my other giftings apart from being a mom and a wife and a caregiver. It does give me a creative outlet. We don't know what our end goal is with this. We just know right now it works for our family and we're able to serve others with it. Well, we said earlier about being more connected. I do feel so much more connected. I feel I'm here for my children's every single thing, which as a mom, you're like, I'm here for my kids every single thing.
Bathroom and everywhere. Yep.
But the fact of the matter is I'm their person. I get to be my boy's person. And that is a privilege and an honor for me. I didn't appreciate the mundane, repetitive, seemingly insignificant things. Um I mean, I remember David coming home one day and I was so absolutely frustrated. And I went off and I'm like, I wash the same glass every day, the same wooden spoon every day. Nothing changes. But that's also when we talk about rhythms and establishing culture, that's important for kids, that nothing changes, that every day they know I'm going to feed them well, I'm going to feed their stomachs, I'm going to feed their soul, I'm going to feed their emotions well every single day, that we are going to show up for them every single day, and they see me taking care of myself every single day and serving others, and they can see me doing that. And at one point I did think about going to work outside of the home. And one of the arguments was that, well, they need to see me contributing and da 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 da. Well, they won't actually see me contributing because I won't be there. So here at home, I'm teaching them the value of, like, these things don't just happen. Someone has to do them. And so, yes, I'm learning to be creative. I'm teaching a class this Saturday on fall gardening. And so I'm finding different outlets here around the home to use my gifts and to use the resources the Lord has given us.
Yeah, that's so incredible. Well, Tamika, I'm so inspired by you and what you're doing. Just your honesty, the way you present yourself, you could see that you're authentic and true to yourself. And that's very hard to find because people struggle with their identity and trying to fit in. And I would say, just really trusting God in the process to really shape and form you into a person that He wants you to be, and that authenticity comes through. And I see that, especially as you're pouring into even other people that may have an interest in this kind of lifestyle, but don't really know how to start. I guess for somebody that's sees or hears that, and that sounds really overwhelming, like you have such a large acreage and growing your own food. Where would you say should they start? If they're interested in that kind of a lifestyle, where should they start?
Start with your why. What is your family's end goal?
Mm.
And because you can homestead in an apartment and you can homestead on thousands of acres. Yeah. And then from there, there's lots of social media groups you can join. There's Upstate Homesteading group on Facebook you can join and just kind of go in there and ask questions. And then from there, I mean, I'm happy to be a resource, happyhomemakerchronicles.com. But from there, just asking the Lord. I'm really big on, like, yeah, you can get all the books. But ask the Lord what he has for your family. Like, what makes your heart beat? What makes you smile? And then just go in that direction. Just go in that direction. And the biggest thing for me, start getting rid of your stuff. When you start getting rid of the clutter in your house, then you'll see the things that are left that are important to you, and you can start going in that direction.
That's so true. That's so good. Well, thank you so much, Tamika, for joining us. I appreciate you sharing your lifestyle with us, and I'm sure our listeners are going to be so encouraged to hear your lifestyle and your perspective and how much joy you even radiate through this podcast. So thank you so much for joining me for Needed Conversations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. We'll see you guys next time. This has been Needed Conversations with Tamika Vaughn. If you wanted to check her blog out, you can go to happyhomemakerchronicles.com. And until next time, we'll see you guys next Monday on our new episode. Thanks so much.
The end of the year is here. If you want to consider us for end of the year giving, we would be so grateful because that's going to help our family and ministry move to the next level in 2022 to provide you with the highest level of resources when it comes to marriage and family. We have so many things that we're going to show you over the next several weeks that need investment in order to bring to market. Printing costs money, shipping costs money, all of these things. To even host a retreat, you have to have upfront capital to make that happen, to secure the venue and to market and to print the workbooks and plan the food and the sketch. All of that takes money. We're not asking you to invest in this ministry to make us rich. God blesses us in a lot of different ways, but we're asking you to invest in your future and invest in the future of your children, because you getting your marriage healthy is going to ensure that your children don't have to struggle with the things that you've struggled with. And if you're looking for a place to invest and give at the end of this year, we pray that Empowered Culture Ministries is at the top of your list. Any final words?
We don't just spew out little nuggets of wisdom, we give you strategies. And it's something that we've been living ourselves for years and years. We feel like we've stumbled on it whenever we were dating, and now into marriage. We've been writing a vision together for the past 8 years. So it's all tried and tested things. We have counseled countless of couples. So we have a lot of experience in that. And we know that it's not for us to reserve it to ourselves, but to give it to you. So help us by partnering with us as well.
Make sure you're following us on social media, Instagram at MoreMostForever. If you want marriage resources, go to moremostforever.com. And if you're looking for something to give all of your friends for Christmas, why don't you consider my book, I Love You More, Most, and Forever, which you can pick up right now. Just go to moremostforever.com. We're grateful for your support and all those who have partnered with us, and we're excited for what's ahead.